Experience the magic of Skellig Michael, an island in the Atlantic Ocean off southwest Ireland. Safety on Skellig is critical to ensure a journey you'll never forget. For this is an island of steep cliffs and ancient stairs without safety rails, and Skellig is not suitable for children under 12 and people with health or mobility concerns, or anyone uncomfortable with heights or rough terrain.
Visitors are attracted to Skellig Michael by its spectacular beauty and wildlife, and the extraordinary early Christian monastery, beehive cells and other archaeological remains. The monastery sits on one of the island's 2 peaks, and to access it, visitors must climb steep ancient stone staircases, which present various safety challenges.
There are 600 steps leading up Skellig Michael to the monastery. Some 12,000 people visit Skellig annually and negotiate these steep steps in a safe manner. However, if you could be prone to vertigo, fear of heights, or have some underlying medical or physical condition, the ascent of Skellig may be very difficult and possibly beyond your capabilities. Skellig is not a place for young children, and children under the age of 12 are not permitted at all. If you intend to bring children over the age of 12 with you, please ensure you're completely confident in looking after their safety on a steep island where there are no barriers or rails on the ancient paths and cliffs. There are very few visitor facilities of any kind on the island. There is no water, food or shelter. You'll be on a remote, barren rock exposed to the weather.
For your journey, you need to bring enough food and drink to see you through the whole day. Sun cream is important, as even though it may be cloudy, you may still get a lot of exposure to ultraviolet light. You should ensure that you have waterproof clothing, both for the boat journey and in case it rains while you are on Skellig. It's advisable to pack your snacks and your waterproof clothing in a small backpack to allow your hands to be free for safer walking.
Food brought to Skellig should be stored in sealed containers. And for the safety of the island's wildlife, please ensure everything you bring is free of insects or any kind of bugs.
Footwear is very important. Wear good walking boots if you have them, or footwear with a grippy sole and good ankle support that you will be both comfortable and confident in when climbing up and down the island's stone staircases.
Please note that there are basic toilet facilities on Skellig, and most of the ferry boats also have simple toilets on board. Before departing, take time to read the safety notice on the pier. A safety leaflet has also been produced to help you plan your visit, and is available from the boat crew or visitor centre. Please ask for a copy. There are life jackets on the boats, and these are available for use in the event of an emergency, or at your discretion to wear if you wish, on the boat journey to and from Skellig.
The licensed passenger boats leave from various harbours in Kerry and can take 12 passengers. The crossing to Skellig Michael can take anything from 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on the boat used and weather encountered en route. The boat journey is across open ocean, which can be rough and wet, and you should wear waterproof clothes and take precautions if you're prone to seasickness.
The boats drop visitors off at a landing pier on the eastern side of Skellig Michael. This landing is very exposed, so in bad weather landing can be very difficult or impossible if the waves are too high. Take particular care when getting off the boat and ask for help if you feel you need it. Even a small swell can make this tricky. Ensure your backpack is on your back to allow you to use 2 hands and the handrail.
Once you've landed on the island, a short flight of steps leads to a lighthouse path, which circuits the south side of the island at low level. The lighthouse path is not steep or difficult. A short way along from the landing is a small building with a sign containing valuable information about visiting Skellig. Please take time to read it. At some points along the Lighthouse path, you will notice warning signs about the possibility of rockfall from above. And at a certain section particularly prone to rockfall, you'll find the path has a protective roof to guard against this.
Please move promptly along the pathway and stay under the safety canopy if stopping to take photographs. And please note that the use of drones and UAVs over Skellig is prohibited. About 10 minutes walk up from the landing are the visitor toilets. Please use them if needed on your way up, as there are no toilet facilities at all past these ones. And once you have climbed higher up on the island, it would take some time to come back to the toilets if needed. OBW conservation workers are working on Skelligs throughout the season, and we ask that all visitors stay away from construction work areas.
A 10 or 15 minute 500-metre walk from the boat landing up the Lighthouse path will bring you to a point where you can no longer follow it, as it's blocked off by the huts of island workmen and guides. This is the point where you can access the old stone steps that you will climb to the higher parts of Skellig Rock and the old monastery. You cannot start to climb the stone steps until you've had a safety talk at this point from one of the Skellig guides.
Keep your hands free of objects, because if you take a trip or a tumble, that's all you have to stop yourself. So when you're taking your pictures of your puffins, put the cameras completely away and make sure that your hands
Guides
are
live on
out
the
of
rock
your
during the
pockets.
summer months, and their instructions must be followed. If there is no sign of a Skellig guide, you must not start your climb of the steps, and you must wait at this briefing point until a guide arrives and gives you the safety briefing and allows you to proceed. The briefing takes only a few minutes and covers vital information on the steps, the conditions on the day, and what will happen at the monastery above, where guides will also be available to show you around. This briefing point also has some important safety signs that you must read before going any further. Some visitors decide at this point not to proceed up the steep stone staircase and relax at the bottom of the steps for their stay on the island. Once the guide has completed their briefing and given you permission to proceed, you can begin your journey up the steps. Please note that in most areas, you are not allowed to leave the stone stairs. Special care should be taken at the very start of the ascent, where there is a horizontal section which is quite narrow, with a steep drop on one side. A short chain has been bolted to the rock here for your safety. As you begin your climb, you will see the stone staircase rising ahead of you. This staircase dates back to antiquity and was originated by the early monks who came to Skellig more than 1,000 years ago. Because these steps are very old, uneven, and follow an irregular course, visitors should take good care when using them. Good technique is to walk in the middle of the steps, avoiding the edges. Pay particular attention when they are wet, as they can be very slippy. When climbing upwards, give way to visitors coming down. Stop on the outer side of the steps and allow them to safely come down the inside before you proceed upwards. The staircase often changes direction abruptly, and visitors should watch out for and take special care on the sharp turns. A walking stick or ski pole is useful if you're experienced using one. Visitors with cameras should be very careful while on steep ground. And if taking photographs, check you have a safe stance and are not near an edge. Please don't leave the steps or disturb any rocks or vegetation. And nesting birds in particular must not be disturbed.
Please never feed or touch the wild birds, as it's not good for them and could put you at risk of avian influenza.
If you are feeling the exertion or in any way unwell, please take time to rest.
It is not permitted to use your mobile phone or take selfies while moving up or down the steps on Skellig. Climbing up or down the island requires all of your attention, and it's extremely dangerous to be distracted by a phone or anything else while moving on the uneven stairs. One wrong step risks serious injury or death.
The young people in this footage are looking at their phones for demonstration purposes only, to illustrate how obviously hazardous it is to engage in such practice.
If you see people moving on the steps while using their phones or distracted for any other reason, please warn them against doing so. It could save their life.
After 15 or 20 minutes, you will reach a valley known as Christ's Saddle. And to the left or west as you arrive is the highest peak on Skellig, while to the right or east is the lower of the two peaks, on top of which you will reach the famous Skellig Monastery and its beehive cells. However, it's a good idea to have a rest in Christ's Saddle between the two peaks and perhaps have a snack here before you ascend the final stage up to the monastery. Some visitors prefer to go directly to the monastery and have their lunch or snack in the saddle on their way down. From the valley, a steep set of stone stairs is clearly visible going upwards, unless there is fog or rain. A chain has been provided on one side higher up for your safety, and please use this both on the way up and particularly on the way down. This area is particularly prone to wind, so please take extra care. At the top of these steps, you will find the path is mostly wide and horizontal with few challenges for visitors. This path leads to the entrance to the monastery. The first stone doorway has a low roof and care should be taken not to bang your head. The final doorway passage into the inner monastery is also quite low, so care should be taken going through here as well. This passage brings you finally into the inner monastery enclosure and the beehive cells. Most visitors spend about 30 minutes exploring and being shown around the monastery before beginning their descent.
Please be respectful of the priceless archaeological remains on Skellig, and don't climb on any rock structures, huts or stone walls. And please do not take or move any stones. The beehive huts are dark inside, and if you do enter, please take time for your eyesight to adjust to the change in light before you move around. Please leave no trace from your visit to Skellig. Ensure you take all waste and rubbish home with you when you leave the island.
Please pay particular attention to your descent of the stone staircase, as this is when accidents are most likely to occur. Safety is especially important on Skellig Michael, because it can take the accident and rescue services considerable time to get there in the event of an emergency. Descend slowly and carefully. If you feel at all lightheaded, sit down on the steps and take a rest. If you feel particularly unable to descend safely and that you're at risk of an accident, please sit down on the steps to one side. Seek assistance from a companion or other visitor. If you feel completely unable to move, sit and wait for a guide who will come down the steps once all visitors have left the monastery.
The guides on Skellig have specialist safety training, and there is a first aid hut at the base of the steps.
On descent, you must also be very careful not to arrive too quickly at a turn and find yourself going straight on and off the edge. Descend slowly, as walking straight off a corner may bring you over a cliff, and fatalities have occurred on the island. After these turns, you arrive back at the narrow horizontal section which has a sharp drop on your left and the safety chain bolted on the rock on your right. After this section, you're faced with the last few turns before arriving back at the base of the steps and the lighthouse path and where you had your initial briefing. We hope you enjoy your journey to Skellig and that this film may be useful in making it a safe experience.
And a last reminder, remember to bring good footwear, waterproof clothing, food and water for the day, and avoid phones and any other distractions while climbing up and down the ancient stairs.